Yahar! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's edition of the Penny and Ill-Informed podcast. That's all I'm doing, Gabby. Okay. Joining me as always, Nikki, Tom, Kevin. How are you guys?
Hey.
Are you the opinion that Blackbeard was really from Bristol?
Yeah.
You have to do it with that's. I mean, if you think about it, pirates sound like they're from Bristol, don't they?
Kevin, should we just get the hellos out of the way first?
Sorry. Hello.
Hello. Right, now that's done. Back to piracy.
Well, I mean, it's just that.
What the hell was you?
Yeah, I got a clap back on that one, didn't I?
Fucking Rain Man over here. We've got to say hello first.
Nah,
Definitely got to
Rain Man, indeed.
Definitely got to say hello. Hello first. Then we talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I mean,
okay,
you started it. You started it. That's all I'm saying. But I mean, pirates do sound like they're from the West Country, don't they?
That is a good one, Gabby. What is a pirate's favorite letter, Tom?
R.
Ah, nay, for they always prefer the sea.
Well, there's two hot contenders out of 26 then. C and R.
Yeah, no, see, I pirate pwned you.
No, I think that C is more for gangsters, isn't it? Like, give me the money, sir.
You see?
Yeah, sir.
You don't know how often Richard and I talk to each other like that.
It is an ongoing thing in our relationship.
Yes. Yeah. But I guess that would be kind of fun at some point. If hypothetically you were with a role-playing lover, give it to me, sir. Yeah. So
stupid.
I know. That's because Richard hasn't come up with a topic yet, so I'm just floundering. I'm floundering on my own because I really don't. I'm not going to talk about the big things because then I'll get blamed for it. They'll say, "Oh, you're just going to go out for half an hour about it." There was a shark. I'll say that there was a shark off the coast of Ireland, but then it's not a great white shark. But I thought it was, and then so I was all excited that I got on and I said, "Richard, is that a big great white shark?" And he says, "No, it's a shark that looks like a great white shark." But sure, people from Ireland wouldn't know what a great shark looks
Poor
like.
beagles are very similar in appearance to great whites, except for the head's a lot more angular and the dorsal fins are different.
Are they aggressive like great white sharks?
No, they're deep water fish. They don't.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
I wonder why they came up to the surface then. Was it
because it was on the end of a line?
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, so
it was caught. Yeah.
Oh, they caught it, and it came up, and then that was it. Okay, I didn't understand it. I
the
thought
only time I've ever been convinced there was a great white shark in UK waters was in the 90s when there was a rash of sightings that you can track, that are tracked. There's a website going ... going around Ireland and then up the west coast and up to Scotland. That is the only time I've ever been convinced that there might have been a great white in British waters. Right. I mean, of course, any amount of shark fishermen will tell you there's great whites in British waters, but if your money depends on getting people to go fishing for sharks, of course you're going to say there's great whites.
Right. Well, I mean, it does make sense because the Gulf Stream does go past Ireland. If you go up the side of America there, and it travels over to Ireland, and so the water, I would imagine, would be at least warmer and would carry maybe some fish. But maybe there. I mean, you always wonder how many fishes are left. Really, probably not that much. I'm guessing. Poor old sharks.
Yeah.
Well, what
Yeah.
happened? What happened this week, Tom? You have to have a story.
Oh, of course I've got a story. Yeah, bloody hell.
Wait a minute.
So
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did we do the customary Kevin signing off ritual yet?
What's that?
No, I'm just saying Tom gets funny about these things. So, did you say?
Oh, crack on,
Yeah.
Tom.
Okay, sorry. Continue, Tom.
Sure. Right. See if I can concentrate now. No, okay. My team, my 4 teaching assistants, they played a practical joke on me. They put these. I'll send you a picture, Richard. You can probably share it if you like. Shouldn't be too hard. Be a handful of pictures. My team decided to play a practical joke on me. In that they put up some pictures around our cupboard of 3 people I really don't like, and it was Nigel Farage, Donald Trump, and Katie Hopkins, and they took it upon themselves to put these up around the I put them up around the classroom, around this classroom cupboard, but there was a problem. And that problem was, hang on, I can probably grab this in one screenshot now and trim it down. Trying to do that while I'm talking about it is never a good idea. So what happened was, the problem was, I failed to notice. I hadn't noticed that they put these Reform UK stickers up, and that they put these pictures of these 3 amigos up with these speech bubbles in front of them. The one for Katie Hopkins says something like, "Hello, sexy, fancy meeting you here." Yeah, and it was, and I'm just cropping these now. And I really took the thunder out of their joke by failing to notice that it was being played on me in the first place. And that was very embarrassing. It was, hang on, it's coming to you now. It was really, that was quite the fail. It was just a bit awkward. I mean, I'm not known for having being the sharpest tool in the box when it comes to being aware of what's going on in my immediate surroundings. I'd seen a Reform UK sticker, knew it was a wind up, and just rolled my eyes. And I think I'd seen these others. I just hadn't noticed them. My brain hadn't clocked them. I think I'd probably seen the Donald Trump one in my subconscious, just rolled my eyes and moved on. But it was just a bit of a anticlimax after their effort at what is actually a pretty funny wind up, and I was all on board. I did laugh about it when they drew my attention to it, but yeah, it was just a bit lame of me. I mean, afterwards, I'm going to be driving next week. I'm going to be driving I'm treating my team to a curry because they're lovely, they're wonderful, and I feel they deserve it. And so we're all organised to have a big night out next Saturday, and I can't wait for it. I've booked the place. The trouble is, one of my team, Trudy, she said, "Are you aware of what's going on when you're behind the wheel? I mean, are you going to be all right driving to Sheppey?" And I was like, yeah, I'll be fine. And I take driving very seriously. I concentrate very hard on it, which I do actually. I do my best to. And so she honestly was genuinely concerned about being driven from A to B by someone who doesn't even notice when a practical joke is being played upon him.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you're not a good driver. Honestly, I mean, that's a completely separate issue. I mean,
I hope so.
I was noticing that old Katie Hopkins has a live show going on currently around Britain. I for some reason she got into my feed as far as like her videos, and so she's such a classless lady, isn't she? I don't understand what the attraction is there. Is it just that she pretends to be better than everybody else, and then is just
Gets photographed shagging somebody else's husband on a bike path. Yeah.
yeah,
No, there's nothing. She just makes up attention seeking bullshit. That's her whole spiel.
yeah,
Like, you remember when she went on the not the one show, that Phil Schofield thing this morning,
Yeah.
and said that women that name their kids after geographic locations are just crap tits. And
yeah,
then she called a kid India.
right.
It's like, oh, come on, Katie.
But I mean, it's a funny thing, and she always says, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm just going to bring this up and everything like that." Brings somebody into it, and then she says, "Oh no, I'm not trying to pick on her," and then just goes through and then just tries to rip the back end out of people. It's just like, I mean, why if she's got a problem with something, she doesn't necessarily have to bring these random people and have nothing to do with even the thing that she's talking about. She makes a correlation to something else that she's complaining about, even though that's not what they're complaining about, and the other person is not doing what she's complaining about. But she just makes some weird analogy to people and just tries to take them apart. And then she is always I mean, she was talking about this location that she was at, and that basically halfway through the show, because what is she, a big wine drinker, alcoholic or something? Because she made it sound like everybody in the audience just gets soused. You know what I mean? So that's what you need, a bunch of drunken people like that driving around on the road after these shows. Anyway, that's what. But on the other hand, she didn't mention the election. She didn't mention that they all got a stolen. Keir Starmer made it to be prime minister.
Yeah,
Without,
I mean, like, nobody ever thought he was going to lose. I mean, Richie Sunak was a joke.
yeah, but I don't think that they thought it was going to be that comprehensive of a win. It wasn't. Didn't they say that was the biggest Tory loss ever in history?
Yeah, it was worse than a run back in the 90s when John Major lost to Tony Blair.
Yeah, it really is. It really is shockingly bad. But what's really interesting is it points to a lot of disillusionment with politics, because the percentage of people that turned up to vote was a lot lower than it normally is. And the Labour Party didn't actually earn a whole lot more votes than last time. They've managed to become elected, and with a massive majority on 33% of the vote, because what's happened is this wasn't a vote for Labour as much as against the Tories. Loads of Tory supporters left and voted either Labour, Lib Dem, or Reform.
Yeah.
And with the vote being split between Tories and Reform so much, I mean, the Tories got 22% of the vote. The Reform got, I think, 14% of the vote. So they got almost 2/3 of the vote that the Tories got. I mean, think about that for a moment. The Tories, the party that feel they have the right to be in government, the party that have been in government about 3/4 of the time since the Second World War, and before, no doubt, they are... this fringe party got 2/3 of the vote that they got. That is really, really troublesome for them. That is a massive problem. Nigel Farage is now the biggest thorn in the side. He's not just a thorn in the side; he's a spear in the back of the Conservative Party. I mean, Nikki, imagine if a party broke away. Imagine if, say, Donald Trump, well, maybe not someone as high profile as that, but broke away from the Republicans, went as an independent and got 2/3 of the vote of the Republicans, completely splitting the vote, and the Democrats just walk it in loads and loads of states that they've never walked it in before. That's what's happened.
But do you really think, in all reality, obviously Britain is a lot smaller place. The United Kingdom is a lot smaller place than America, but I don't think you could draw a direct correlation in a lot of ways. I mean, Nigel Farage was, has been on television doing stupid game show crap, and also a radio DJ and commentator and those types of things like that. So, I mean, everybody knows who he is, and again, he did, he did meet with Donald Trump. I mean, they've got a lot of the same ideas. The thing that I find is interesting is what will this mean? Because, well, I guess Starmer has a big enough majority that if he wants to try to go to Europe and says, "Hey, let's just clean this up." So, I mean, I'm not saying that he'll want to enter back into the EU, but eventually that's going to happen, in my opinion. And whether it's now or 10 years down the road, but it'll be interesting to see if they try to renegotiate some of the terms to make it easier and things like that. But then Nigel Farage will be out there trying to do his thing. He just likes to play the disruptor, doesn't he? I mean, that's he's he's just an interesting cat. I don't personally like his politics, but I mean, I do see how he'd be, good. He'd be a fun guy to, hang out with for a little bit, just to see. But, no, I mean, as long as you,
he would not be a fun person to hang out with.
You don't think so,
Kevin? Not you, no, Kevin. No.
No,
It'd be like, up there are,
no,
Jerry Adams.
No, I all I'm saying is I'd hang out enough to get his confidence, and then beat him up in the parking lot or something like that. No, I mean, old Nigel's not welcome in the village. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, it was a funny,
peaceful.
It was funny because, Richard, after you started with the auditor thing, those First Amendment auditors, and now I'm seeing all these ones in England and all that doing it. And they're very provocative to some of the people. I've noticed that there's no Northern Irish auditors that talk to the police like that. I'm surprised that in some neighborhoods where they're doing it, that somebody else just doesn't get involved. I've never seen anybody else come up and say, "Leave the cop alone." You know what I mean? Leave him alone. You're inciting violence. Where is the line for inciting violence whenever you're swearing at a policeman and trying to tell them that they're dirt and everything like that?
Well, I mean, there isn't one. I mean, they get training, so that doesn't bother me. It's when they harass ordinary civilians that's when it bothers me.
Right.
Tom, what?
Am I making weird sounds?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. I was playing with a toy.
I was just whacking open a coconut, guys. Sorry.
Maybe he dropped his Rubik's Cube. Was it a Rubik's Cube?
No, look, I'll go put the cam on and show you. I was given this. It's a Transformer Genesis or Mega Drive thing, and it looks incredible. And I was just having a look at it because just because I was and because I'm like that. I think this was something of my late brother's, God rest his soul, and it just looks pretty amazing. But it doesn't come with instructions, so I'm not sure I dare try and transform it. I think this thing is worth a lot of money. No, I don't know what I want to do with it. I don't particularly intend to sell it. But yeah, I've got nowhere really wonderful to keep it. So I'm not quite sure what to do with it. But
does it have all the Mega Drive games on it?
No, it's not a working Mega Drive.
No.
Sorry to disappoint.
That would have been awesome.
It's got a little mini Mega Drive control pad, and it's got there. This is a mock-up of the Japanese edition of Sonic the Hedgehog 1. And actually, I had exactly that. The version of Sonic I had was Japanese, and it was exactly that one. So yeah, just it's pretty amazing. Yeah. Wow. That's all. Sorry.
So that's a video game as well as a
No, it's just when you transform it, it looks like there. No, there.
Oh,
Looks like that. It
That's
looks like
neat.
the
I had a Super Nintendo, not a Mega Drive, but all my friends had Mega Drives.
Well, I've still got mine. It's over there. Yeah.
God, I can't even remember what we were talking about before that.
Sorry, I've ruined everything.
Oh no, it was something about politics. It was boring anyway.
Yeah.
Probably. I'm just guessing.
Right, yeah, anyway. Yeah, we do think his toy is cool as fuck. I'm not even going to lie, Gary. That I am well jelly. That is awesome. Are you going to transform it?
I'm going to try. I'll probably just break it. It doesn't seem to come with instructions, so I'd need to look it up or something like that.
Yeah, just watching YouTube video. Everybody does stuff off YouTube anymore.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my kid. I just said, "Oh, I don't know how to change a tire. Watch it on YouTube, or whatever." Well, I taught him how to change tires. I did do that whenever he got whenever they were paying attention or not. Whenever they were 16, I did teach them how to change tires because I thought that would be at least something. But it's amazing, It seems like it seems like it's easy, but it's not. Anything new on TV you've been watching, guys?
No. I've watched The Boys up to episode 6.
I'm done with The Boys. As far as what they released. There was a show we discovered. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I've watched a lot of TV. Honestly, I've been watching. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was wondering if any of you watched that. I was trying to. Somehow it came up in the thing the other day, and it was like that Matt Berry. What to Do in the Shadows or something like that. Is that?
Yeah, I've watched every episode of that. But I like the movie and I like the TV show.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. Yeah.
What show did you say?
I don't know. It's got something to do in the shadows or something like that with Matt.
What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're hysterical. Both the movie and the show.
Oh, okay. I'll check it out because I really like him as an act. I mean, his voice is everywhere because it's so, iconic and unique.
Are you talking about
Matt Berry?
Matt Berry? Yeah. I had a patient that looked very much like him, and I wound up. I think I messaged Richard and my friend Casey and was just like, "I got this guy that looks like Matt Berry." Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but he probably didn't sign like him.
Absolutely not. But Matt Berry, you can tell his voice anywhere.
Yeah,
his cameo in the Fallout TV show was absolutely brilliant.
So good.
I love him.
Well, there was a thing on Amazon Prime, no, Netflix, and it was what was it, Disenchanted or something like that? Disenchantment. It was like a TV. It was like a cartoon, an adult cartoon, and he's a character in there. He's just so funny. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I finished an Apple TV show with Colin Farrell in it called Sugar. It was meh. It's weird. It's just a weird show. Like
what's the idea of it?
It's like he's a detective, so there's a lot of the old like narration done by Colin throughout the whole thing.
Oh, sort of a
Film
noir.
noir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it shot like film noir or is it color? Is it?
it's in color.
Oh,
It's
is
in
it?
color, but it's the twist. I don't know. I don't know how. Bree gave it like a 6 out of 10. I gave it like a 4. She said that, she's like, would I ever watch it again? No. Like, would I recommend it to anybody? No. Was it okay? Sure. So yeah, I was pretty apathetic about it. It was all right. The only reason I kept watching it was Colin. That's it.
The type of thing that you wouldn't mind in the background, whenever you're doing another task, but you
Yeah.
want noise
Well,
in the room as
no.
well.
See, if I was doing another task and wanted Colin Farrell in the background, it would be Total Recall.
Really, not
see,
Fright
yeah.
Night.
I liked him in Fright Night, but he is in pajama pants and pajama pants only for a good amount of Total Recall, long enough to make it worth it.
So do you get to see whether it's long enough to make it worth it, or?
Well, I mean, he has a sex tape that I've watched many times and is absolutely long enough to make it worth it. The man doesn't have what is known as the Irish curse.
I don't know about that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. Like, it's not
No,
like
it's
I've
true he doesn't have it. He's just got a nice one. It's
yeah, but I
beautiful.
mean, what I'm saying is like, if you go to Ireland, like there's like
Yeah.
probably 10 different faces. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's not that many genetic differences. So obviously, at that point in time, I would say 10% of the population's probably doing all right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of Irish people at full mast. Let's just put it that way. So I
Oh.
wouldn't know.
Well, I've seen that one at full mast and it was nice. 10 out of 10. Do recommend.
Circumcised or no?
I don't think he is.
You wouldn't think he would be if he's Irish or British. You wouldn't think that. That's pretty rare. I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's hard to tell when it's hard anyway. So, saying he was the roaring to go. But yeah, I'll watch. I would watch that man watch paint dry. Like I could just. I would be all right with it. He's just beautiful.
Does he have to be talking though, or is it just
It's nice when he talks when they actually let him have his real accent. I like it. But he doesn't have to talk.
No.
He's
All
like
right.
Henry Cavill. He could just sit there and be pretty.
So
Aidan Turner's another
I
gorgeous
hate
Irish
Henry
man.
Cavill.
Why?
Why? Because he's gorgeous, he's genuinely nice, and he's a nerd.
Yeah, I know.
I just hope one day they find a fucking bunch of dead prostitutes in his basement.
No, he has to. Maybe he's just got a really small penis. Like God had to have made him with a major flaw somewhere. Like maybe he's just got a micro peen or something, and that's his cross to bear.
Would it even matter?
God, no! Look at him. Like listen. That video where he was building a computer. Like there was nothing sexual about it, but my body sploosh. That was the hottest thing. That was porn for me. Was watching Henry Cavill put together a computer. And he almost missed the call saying he was Superman because he was raiding in World of Warcraft.
Can you imagine him being in his guild?
Hey
guys, it doesn't matter if we win or lose as long as we have fun. Fuck you, Henry.
I think Nikki would let him even say Leroy Jenkins and run into a room.
Oh, I would pull a Leroy Jenkins. You do not understand.
Nikki is the Leroy Jenkins of any
100%. I am 100% the Leroy Jenkins. I have wiped out so many parties on accident.
Trying to skin a rabbit.
No, well, okay, not just that, but like I we had one, I can't remember what expansion it was, but one of the mechanics on the boss is that you had to jump into this giant robot and do a bunch of DPS to like the bad guy, right? Well, I accidentally jumped into the robot before the designated person could, and I just wiped out the whole room, including all of the party.
You can't teach that level of skill.
I've done some stupid crap. So if I had someone who was like, "Hey guys, as long as we have fun, blah, blah, blah," and was just like that all the time, I would probably Leroy Jenkins it just to get a rise, because sometimes, it's fun to make people rage quit.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I love Henry Cavill. I could just watch him do stuff and be totally fine. But yeah, there's got to be something wrong with him.
Just has to be. There has to be.
And trust you for your go-to to be, I reckon he's got a micro penis.
I mean, there is nothing else wrong with him that I can see thus far.
Not physically. I mean,
not physically. That's what I'm saying.
Straight,
like,
and I wouldn't kick him out of bed.
Yeah, he is gorgeous. That's
He's
the
an
only part of
attractive
him I
man.
haven't seen.
And he seems like a genuine, decent, kind person.
Yeah.
I fucking hate him.
They used to call him Fat Cavill. I mean, the only thing I've heard negative about him is sometimes he'll go to a bar and be like, "Hey, I'm Superman." Like, go get laid, Henry. He doesn't need to be Superman. All he has to do is walk in. He's beautiful.
Yeah,
he doesn't have to have any game at all.
Well, no, but do you think that if he went into a bar and said, "I'm Superman," that he'd have to pay for a pint all night? I mean, maybe that's...
Yeah, but why are you telling the women that? Like, it's supposed to impress them.
I bet Batman gets laid more. I'm just saying.
He's a bad boy. Batman's a bad boy.
He's a vigilante.
But all I'm saying is, it's an icebreaker, right? You can just say, "I'm Batman." I mean, you're not boasting about it. It's like
Superman.
It's interesting that I at one point in time, back in the day, used to walk in. I wasn't bad looking at the time, and I'd just say, "What's your opinion on Mr. Potato Head?"
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times they would start laughing, and once you get somebody laughing, then you can get a conversation started. You know what I mean? It's not the old, "What's your sign, babe? You look like you're thirsty. Can I get you a drink, babe?" And so that's I'm not
Speaking
saying
of Superman and Batman, though, you watched the last episode of The Boys, Niki.
I did.
And we had the most honest interaction between a Superman and a Batman in that, where Homelander was just, "Shut the fuck up, you're not on my level." That's how it would really be. You can't even fly.
I laughed so very hard at Huey, and I felt very bad for laughing at him as much as I did.
Well, that's his job. That's why he's there on the show, to be laughed at.
He's my favorite character, hands down. Period. The end. My favorite character. I adore Huey.
I like Kamiko best.
Kamiko's great. I love her personality, how much she's come into her own.
The strong, silent type.
Yeah.
Well, do you think Superman has a micro penis, though? Oh, no. Batman? Or I think Robin would.
Batman wouldn't. No, well, even if he did have a micro penis, he'd have a Bat Gadget penis to make up for it.
He could
Gadget penis.
He could get one out of his quote-unquote utility belt.
Exactly. A micro penis wouldn't slow Batman down.
If you think about it, if I don't know, dude. I was just gonna take it way down the road of not appropriateness by talking about how the utility belt could be modified to. Never mind.
Love it.
Love it.
Yes.
Yeah, no, because it could fold down into like a cod piece, and
Yes,
then like that
exactly.
could expand, and it would be
Yes.
shaped like a bat as well, so it would be
Right.
on brand.
Yeah, and then you could get that guy. Meanwhile, at the balls of justice.
Well, that was a
Real-
fun little run.
Yeah, yeah, Jesus. Okay. Interestingly enough, we never get striked for conversations like this, but if we mention certain countries, oh,
Right, we get striked over that. We can drop all the f bombs that we want to.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like we're
Make sexual innuendo.
yes, but it is innuendo and double entendre. So I mean,
That's
it's
true.
no worse than a carry-on film from the 1960s, early 70s. You know what I mean?
God, I love those films.
Yes.
I still haven't seen anywhere near enough of them.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you say are the essential ones, Richard? Essential.
Carry
three?
On Henry, Carry On Up the Jungle, Carry On Doctor,
Yeah, Carry On Doctor, I think, was one of the
Carry
better
On
ones.
Henry, especially, I feel is the best one.
Carry On Up the Khyber is a
Yeah.
pretty good one as well. If you
Yeah.
can find it anywhere. It's so basically, what we would consider in these days not a film that would be politically correct.
Yeah.
So you have to look at it from that standpoint. I was watching some of the. I mean, like when I was growing up, they still had the black and white minstrels on the television, and then basically.
Someone was like, "Hang on a minute,
What?
this is a bit wrong, isn't it?"
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, but also like there was some
But
program.
oh shit, Nikki, yeah. Do you know about the black and white minstrel show?
No.
Basically, a bunch of white dudes in blackface doing musicals.
Oh no.
The real kind of Al Jolson mammy thing.
Oh
The most
no.
worst like racial stereotype you can imagine for a white person in
Ooh.
blackface.
Yeah, which is
Ooh.
which I think is interesting. So I don't know, because blackface as being nowadays just putting on a darker makeup, they'll say, okay, that's blackface. But I mean, back in the day, blackface was so. I mean, it was like black shoe polish and wide eyed. You remember on what was the League of Gentlemen, where that guy came from the circus came in, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
and he was in blackface, and it was yeah, they had to put a disclaimer in front of it, because I think that obviously, whenever you're talking about the stereotype of the minstrel, the minstrel show, and that sort of jazz hands wearing white gloves jazz hands thing, it's terrible. I mean, obviously in America, I think until the late 70s there was a restaurant called Sambo's, and it was like the most racist place you could ever. I mean, if you ever what.
Just fucking Tom in the background struggling with his Mega Drive transformer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave up. I
But,
gave up. I was really worried I was going to break it. So, yeah. Also, I've got the needy cat as well. Say hello,
Yeah.
Hawkeye. Say hello. I'll move you on. Move on. Yeah, I gave up. I put it back in its box. I was really worried I was going to break it. So I put it away for now.
Well, and
Yeah.
like when they got rid of and how late that they had the Robinsons figure. I won't even call it what it is. Because even saying what they called it back in the 70s and 80s is probably racist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
but look it up. The Robinsons. I think that they tried to say golly in the end before they just decided that was it. But yeah, it's the Robinsons golly. Has that red. It's got the black and white striped pants and the red shirt, and the whole thing is just
Bloody
pretty.
hell, Tom! It's worth 300 quid.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, the old cat likes it. Don't let it get there and swallow a
Well,
piece.
yeah. I've got the this is the Optimus Prime PlayStation 1 that accompanies that. Hang on. Get a good shot. Try and lose the reflection. Yeah. Oh man. So I've got that as well, which turns into a PS1. Yeah. Then just there's a story.
300 quid as well.
Apparently, I don't know. My brother collected these, and I guess so. He just collected them and kind of left them to me. Well, just because he passed away, and my dad brought them down yesterday. Okay. Yeah, my dad brought them down.
Well, that's yeah, no, I wasn't saying sell them. I was just saying,
Yeah, well, but the trouble is, I don't really have anywhere to keep them. I mean, all these shelves around me. I mean, you can't see them, but they're all and if I think if I move my laptop around, it'll lose its tenuous connection to the TV. So I don't really want to do that. But trust me, my shelves are absolutely full of crap already, and there's no real room for these. And besides, this isn't just my house; it's my family's too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fair.
Yep.
Well, to be honest with you, maybe you would have preferred that you just get something that you like. You know what I mean? A lot of times you have to think about it. I know that you go through this stage, especially after, a couple of 3 or 4 years where you're like, I've just got to hold on to everything. But then, you wonder whether the enjoyment, maybe getting something that you like. I mean, I wouldn't say like sell it and pay your bills. You know what I mean? I just get something. Take everybody on holiday with them.
I'm sorry to steal your thunder, Kevin. I found the instructions. I thought it's not worth very much. I haven't got the instructions, but I have. Look, they were in this crevice. They were in the crevice is a dirty word. Sorry, but yeah.
No, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just laughing at this is a toy for kids and it comes with instructions.
Of course it does. How else are you supposed to transform it?
By trial and error.
No, it felt very fragile. It did not feel as robust as the Transformers we had in the 80s. Nowhere near. This felt fragile. I'd say, guys, does anyone remember the Transformers, the original? We won't talk about the Michael Bay ones. The original Transformers movie from 1985 or 1986.
Yes, I do. I think I saw it in the theater.
Yeah. Well,
1986. I was how old was I then? 1986. I was 14, so that would have been right up my alley then. You know what I mean?
I was 8, and I dragged my dad kicking and screaming to the cinema to see it. He really didn't want to, and he said it was terribly boring, but he went to see it for me. And I still love it. I still think it's a really good film. And I really enjoyed it. And movie bum. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great film. And the only Transformer I have, the only one I still have, it was from back then. It's the Unicron, the planet thing. The planet transformer that transforms to a giant robot the size of a planet towards the end of the film. And that's the only one I've got is that Transformer. That's the only one I've kept, and that's somewhere over there. Yeah.
I had really Soundwave and Rumble when I was a kid. Those were the only Transformers I had. I was more into the Turtles.
Yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's
Oh,
sort of
the first movie of that in 1990, that was just brilliant. And the 1989 Konami coin-op arcade machine, that was brilliant.
Dude, it's been my lifelong dream to own one of those arcade machines of the original Turtles game. I've got it on MAME, but
I have a friend who actually makes them. They make arcade games like that.
yeah. Because I mean, basically, all you
Not
need,
hard.
yeah. Because you can get this, you can get all the stickers and all that made up for it, and everything else. And I don't think, like Nikki says, but it would be harder to get one for Britain, wouldn't it? Because it's got to be up cycle to 220 or whatever. Or no, that's not true. If you've got a 220 plug and then you got a transformer that'll take it down to 110, then which is about $40, and then you plug in the machine, then you could get one from America. The only problem with that is how much it would cost to ship it.
Yeah, because they're heavy. But yeah, basically, my niece's boyfriend builds them. It's just like a Raspberry with the game, and he gets the screen, and they look great. It's like a very expensive hobby he has, considering he hasn't sold many of them. He just essentially has an arcade in his house now.
Would you want? Well, I mean, I don't know if they ever had the that in a tabletop version, but I used to
Man, I
love.
love a good tabletop. Popeye was on a tabletop at a pizza place I used to go to as a kid.
Loved it. Space Invaders or Galaga on
Yeah.
on a tabletop. Awesome.
Well,
But
I'm
anyway,
very... Go on, Kevin.
no, I was just gonna say it just ended up with all my friends' drinks all over it. You know that by the end of the night, it's full of beer, beer, beer glasses and everything like that. You can't see it. Well, that was the reason that I didn't get the high score. I'm pretty sure, or at least I blamed it on that. Go ahead.
Oh, well, thanks. All I was going to say was I'm quite lucky. I've got a piece of kit called the Neo Geo Arcade Stick Pro, which plays. It's an official piece of kit. It costs about 130 quid or something, and that you can use to. There's 40 or so Neo Geo games on it, which are like pretty chic arcade games from the 90s. But there was a piece of software put on the internet called Hilo Stick, which was borderline illegal, and it it is. I think they did eventually stop this thing being out there. And what that does is it just gives you. It's just you download it, you put it on a USB flash drive, and then it gives you access to about 1,000 classic games. And when I saw that the Turtles game from 1989 was on it, I was thrilled to bits. I was like, "Yay!" And so I've played that again. It does get a little bit samey after a while, but it's still huge amounts of fun. And I do remember really enjoying playing it as a kid. They had one near the local swimming pool, and so that's where we used to play it. And it was really, really fun to be able to play that again. It's just really simple, really straightforward, but definitely fun.
Okay, Richard. Since you had a Super NES, Richard, what was your favorite? What was your favorite game on Super SNES?
UN Squadron.
UN Squadron.
Yes. Yep.
What was that? What was that game about?
It's a shoot 'em up, just old school.
Yeah, it's just a side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Huh. And you could unlock new planes and new weapons. It was just great. It's like a really early looter shooter.
I love those games.
You see, because I loved Super Double Dragon. That's what I like, Double Dragon.
Oh yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, that was my favorite game because it actually had, different characters in it and stuff. I don't know. Used to think that was pretty cool. Nikki, did you play video games or were you working back then?
I've played video games since I've been a kid, since I can remember.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if kids will be able to remember anymore when they stop.
Well, my
Yeah.
father, to this day, like one of the things we do to spend time together is build computers. So back when the Commodore 64 was released, we had that. And I remember, being like a little kid playing the Castle of Dr. Creep and what is it, Little People? The something in the computer, Little People. It was basically kind of like Sims, but for the Commodore 64. So yeah, and then my family was huge on the Intellivision and on the Atari. So I've
Oh, the Atari 2600, right?
yeah.
I
No,
think
that game.
the television was better, but anyway. Sorry, Tom.
No,
Sometimes
you're
I
all
get a
right, mate.
lag here. Go ahead.
You're all right, mate. That's probably me as normal. The Atari 2600, I think that holds the world record for the longest lifespan in terms of original games released.
I
I mean,
believe
it was
it.
more than a decade. The difference between the first and the last game released for that console was about 13 years or something crazy like that.
And what's crazy is ET is what almost killed video games and the Atari.
Buried in the
Did you
desert.
know that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were to try and prove the myth was true. They sent a load of trucks about 10 years ago or so, maybe 15. They sent a load of trucks out to the Arizona desert to dig through these sand dunes and see if they could find them, and they did. It's true. It was true. They found them all there. You know about this, guys?
Yeah. It was a
Yep.
big deal.
Yeah. And that's where they all were, buried in the desert.
A huge hole filled with ET games. They pulled them out and they got them to work on the Ataris they brought with them. It was an awful game,
It was
to
an
be
awful
fair.
game. I remember that game.
I've looked it up on YouTube just to see how truly bad it is.
It was like they spent, what was it, like 3 weeks making it, and you could tell.
Yeah. What's the
And it wasn't his fault either. Like he flat out asked for more time
yeah.
repeatedly.
Here's a good question. What's the worst video game any of you can recall playing ever? And for what reason, kind of thing?
Probably V Rising. I was just, over the open world survival craft genre, and it was so generic. I was like, oh god, what? Who made this?
I'm trying to think of the worst game. I don't know. I've always just found an appreciation for every video game that I've played. I don't know. I know that I have a video game that takes about 5 or 10 minutes to finish that I make everybody play. Because it's so bad that I feel like I have to make other people experience it.
Oh, go on. What is it?
It's called Plug and Play. And I make everybody that plays it, they have to play it in front of me or at least streaming it so that I can get their real reaction to the game. It's the dumbest thing. Like I said, it's like 10-15 minutes tops. And it's just weird. It's like I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with the people that made it. There's something very wrong with them though.
Okay. I think,
yeah. I can't think of any that I just hated.
When I was growing up, whenever they first came out with things, that's whenever you could still have the, oh, you come to this and what are you going to do, A or B? You know what I mean? And you press the button. It's a sort of choose your own adventure on a computer. And some of those games,
text games, yeah.
yeah, and some of those were really terrible because, like, it wasn't, you know, if you'd played it twice, you'd gone through every scenario. That was it. So the point of the matter is that you're spending a ton of money. I mean, back then for a game, and it's just not, worth it because like with the ET, I remember that it was the graphics were so terrible and it was so overhyped, and it became such an issue because Atari would end up taking license from these companies, and the games wouldn't be anything like the movie at all, or whatever. It would just be some weird, you know, um, thing where you're like, oh, the graphics on the box would be really great, and you'd take a look at it and you'd think it was going to be fun and everything like that, and it was just terrible. I think that was one of the things that was so weird. Even whenever you were looking at games like arcade games that they put onto Atari, sometimes they did a great job, but most of the time it was just a poor example of the games that you were playing. I mean, but of course, then those graphics on the early games like Galaga and stuff like that you thought that was amazing, and so you weren't that upset that the ones that you were playing on the TV weren't quite as good. But at the same time, I often wonder if the Atari games in your home weren't equivalent to something that you could have gotten if you were at. I can't imagine what I'm saying is I can't imagine the processing power of a video game in an arcade was that much more than was in your home
Yeah,
unit,
nah,
you know.
not at all. Yeah, I spent time in arcades, but that wasn't my thing because my house was very pro video games. Um, we still spent a crap ton of time outside, went to the pool, went to the skating
Yeah.
rink. We played a lot of video games, don't get me wrong, but we also went outside a lot, like still the vast majority of the time. When it got darker, that was when it was time to play video games. When you couldn't go outside anymore because the porch, the lights were on
During the
outside.
winter, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
I loved the games we used to play in the street, or just going out skateboarding up and down the road, or riding our BMX bikes around, that kind of thing. Yeah, they proper Stranger Things, the Stranger Things life without the aliens and the inverted world.
Yeah.
Climbing
Yep.
trees for me and my
I
friend.
remember that. Yeah. Getting lost out in acres and acres and acres of cornfield for me.
Oh wow, that's not good.
Oh no, man! I would be gone for. There are times I was in another city altogether because I was in the storm, the storm drains, like going underneath and popping up on whatever street I happened to be in. I'm really surprised I ever made it back home, like that. I didn't get lost.
Wow.
I used to go walking for miles in the woods, and then literally in my backyard, the next door neighbor just had acres of corn, and I also spent a lot of time there too.
Yeah, the culverts. I'm trying to think back whether culverts were one of the dangerous things when we were kids. That I wonder if that was almost the most dangerous things that people were concerned about back then. They weren't really all that concerned about you getting abducted
At all.
because they never talked about that. But it was like,
Yeah.
oh, don't go down a culvert in case there's a flash flood, and then you get, because
My parents didn't tell me that.
yeah,
My
Yeah,
parents never told me that. We just went down there. We did whatever. My parents had no idea what I was doing for at least 8 hours a day during the summer.
yeah. Oh,
Like
I
I don't
agree.
even know if I ate lunch some of the times. Like sometimes I really think that I was gone from the time I got up to, it's getting dark. I need to find my way back home.
Yeah. Nah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but
Yeah, it was a different time.
yeah,
We used to
and
fight over the back window seat, and because no one was wearing a seatbelt, not one of us.
yeah, but the station wagons had the
The
seats
big, yeah.
they faced the other way.
Oh yeah, we had one of those we used to fight over, and then no, like we had a big old vehicle that had uh, the back seat, like where the window was, had a big space right there, and we would fight to get who would get
Oh,
in
to
the
lay on the
window.
like the parcel
Yeah,
stuff there.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We also, man, we took a trip, like a 7 or 8 hour trip to move, and we were in the back of a truck the entire time. We were just in the back of the truck.
Yep, riding in the back of pickup trucks. That was
Yep.
not
Was it
a
Not
like
big deal.
illegal.
Nikki? Was it like the beginning of Beverly Hills Cop 1 where Eddie Murphy's in the back of that cigarette truck? Were you
Yeah,
hanging
I
on the
mean,
back? Were you falling out the back, holding onto this chain for dear life, like Eddie Murphy?
nah, because from a young age I was an expert at, like, that's just, if you're a redneck, like I lived in the Midwest, and we worked on a farm and all of that stuff, but we still did a lot of redneck stuff. And one of them was right in the back. You start doing that when you're like 3-4 years old.
Yeah, I remember
You
that.
know.
I remember riding in the back of pickup trucks, and
Hmm.
it was like,
Feet dangling. That's when you knew that you were a big kid. You got to dangle your feet off of the tailgate. You didn't
yeah,
have to sit on the hump inside in the middle.
right.
You had to graduate to dangling your feet off of the lower tailgate.
And the Subaru Brat, remember whenever that came out, because it had the rear facing like sports seats, but it had handles on it, so it was it was almost too safe.
How did we survive? Like, for real.
A lot of us didn't. A lot of us didn't. But at the same
True.
point in time, we'll make more. That's how it was. Well, I mean, but at the same time, it's a funny thing because in a lot of ways, even though we lost kids to, things like falling out of pickup trucks or, drowning and stuff, it just doesn't seem like it's the same level of actually kids that die today. You know what I mean? It just didn't seem like that. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
wasn't like super hardcore drugs or a lot of gun violence and all that other stuff that, I mean, we did lose kids, but it doesn't seem like there was. I mean, it would be interesting to see how many more children as a percentage die now or before.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe our life was more dangerous back then, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a kid today. I can tell you that much for sure. Yeah.
Gabby just said I'm the one on the show with the strong accent. After she just told me I don't have one.
Well, it's a funny thing because you get to a thing whenever you're talking to people around the world that you start really tempering your accent very, very quickly. I've noticed, you know what I mean? Because I just don't want to go to the store anymore and be like, okay, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? It's like Scottish people that go to London and they just, they stop speaking with a Scottish accent the minute they get there because they're just tired of people just asking them to repeat what you're saying again and again and again and again.
I just think that my natural accent sounds stupid. So I do what I can to keep it from popping up. But
Now, it's if you got a Midwest accent and
I
then
don't. That's the problem. So I have my southern moments,
Yeah. Well,
But
that's what I'm saying.
then
It's
but then I have my very Floridian moments where
yeah,
I sound
yeah,
almost like a valley girl. So it's a
yeah.
weird mix of the two, and I've done very well
Well, I
for
mean,
my
it's
life.
like
You know,
you can get a southern Indiana, southern Ohio accent, and then
yeah,
that's not very far away from your and then people don't really sort of understand that accent because a lot of people when they think of a Midwest accent, they're thinking of like Minnesota type thing. I don't know.
right, yeah,
I don't know. It's different. But it basically comes down to who settled that area first in a lot of ways. So anyway, well, not the white people that settled it first. Let's put it that way. No,
yeah,
nobody's going around with a Cherokee accent.
yeah. My accent is definitely different depending on who I'm around. If I'm at work around my southern bumpkins, my southern does come out a lot more.
Yeah, but it's like that
Yeah.
idea of you know, I don't. You could be the brightest professor in I've talked to people from the South that say that. You could be the brightest guy in the world, but the minute you start coming out with a Southern accent,
100%.
then they automatically think I've got 100 less IQ points than you actually do.
I don't listen to the radio anymore, and I'm really glad. When I did, I would legitimately be embarrassed for my state listening to the commercials because they're like, "Hi, I'm so and so from Homer Skelton Ford, and I want you to come down here and check out our cars." And I'm just like, "You guys sound idiotic. Please stop."
Yeah, but that's just that sort of idea that like Southerners, just like Southern Irish people, and that a lot of times you could get that joke. I mean, they still make fun of Irish people in Britain, but still, there. I mean, that was one of those things where if you had a Southern Irish accent, you were literally stupid. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, and that's how I feel about the Southern American accent. I hate it, but I still do it from time to time. Richard, I know, hears it fairly regularly.
well,
I'm a big fan.
yeah, yeah. Well, just remember. Oh, hey, I know, and I just thought to myself, okay, the Hawk Tua lady,
Yeah.
she's been on the thing now. Her name's
Mhm.
Haley something.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking somebody made the observation that it should just be Tua because with the Hawk Tua, you're getting a lot of sinus issues
Yeah.
and drainage on that.
That's true.
Yeah.
But the point is that you spit on that thing.
Yes. The spitting on that thing is the important part. Well, I'm past time. I need to go, guys.
Yeah. That'll wrap
So
us up for this week. We will return next week, despite the hopes of many. It's good night from me, and it's good night from them. Good night, everyone.
Good
Good
night, people.
night.
good night.